So first, really appreciate everybody coming so late at night to be in a talk. This talk was titled Eros as a Cosmic Power. And the reason is because we forgot, or we were never educated in this way, to see Eros as something meaningful, powerful, important, and actually that is much bigger than us. We used to think that we make love, but the truth is that love makes us. I think you said it.
Did I?
I think I heard this, from Valentina. Literally, love makes us, right? Like we all were born from love making of our parents. And our parents were born from love making of their parents, who were born from love making of their parents, all the way to the first, amoebas that came with this great idea of let's unite. Let's come together and create something new. I mean, the individuals on this thread are changing. Now it's us. 30, 40, 50 years ago it was our parents. 100 years ago it was our grandparents. And so forth. Millions of years. The individuals are changing. But the one thing that stays constant is Eros. The lovemaking. The power that draws two things to come together to create the next generation. This is a constant. This is a constant power that drives evolution forward. Literally. Evolution would not be driven forward without the passion, the desire of two individuals to merge their DNA together. So here we are sitting here and talking about my sexuality, your sexuality, and the boundaries and how important it is, and do I want it, don't I want it? And in some ways, if we take a big zoom out, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because it's never have been my sexuality. Eros is not mine. I am belonging to Eros. I am a bead on the necklace, the everlasting necklace of Eros. The thread that connects all the beads. One bead is you, the other is your parents or your children. There are beads. We are all, each generation is a bead, but the thread that goes through is Eros. And sooner or later we will be belonging to the past, but what will stay? Eros will stay. Our Eros will stay. The Eros that came through us, whether it's biological or non-biological, we'll talk about it in a second, because Eros is not only sex. Eros is not only biological sex. But let's start with this. So the Eros that came through us created the next generation and the evolution that comes with the next generation. And this will stay after I die. So everything about me almost disappears except the Eros that was moving through me. Now, is Eros important?
You say fuck yes.
Yeah, is Eros important or not? Yeah, Eros is this part of us that is actually never dying. Everything else will die except of the erotic power in you. The only part in our biological cells that will continue to the future is our sex cells. The DNA in our sex cells is the only one that will continue to the next generation. All the rest will disappear. So there is something of eternity in Eros. There is something that is divine in Eros. And this is why the name Eros is Greek, of course. And the Greek people saw Eros as a god, as a deity, as a divine power. And they were right. And how far it is from what people think today. Today, religious people, and mostly in the monotheistic religions, you feel that when you are erotic, when you're turned on, many people feel, they're away from God, especially if they're Christian. I think Muslims and Jews have less of that, but still we have it. But this feeling of there's something wrong. If I'm erotic, I can't be in synagogue, mosque, church. I can't be with God. And the Greek people felt it the opposite. When you're turned on, Eros is in you, and Eros is God. It's like when you're turned on, God is in you. This is a whole different way of looking at it. Now, Eros is not only sex. So it's easy to speak about Eros as sex because it's physical and it's easy to see things as physical and biological. But sex, as my friend Mark Gaffney says, sex resembles Eros. So sex is one option, let's put it like that, of how Eros can express itself. Yeah? But Eros can express itself in many ways, in many other ways. The problem is because we are not so educated in being erotic, we often go into the default, like, I feel I have something with you, I have this attraction, and it's like, probably we need to have sex. It's just because our sexuality is repressed, and we're not educated in how to run Eros. But once sexuality will not be repressed maybe in the next generation to come, or in 100 years or whatever, humanity will be free from repression of sexuality maybe, and there is going to be more education about Eros, we will feel that, I'm attracted to you. What does it mean? It means that there is something that we need to do together. There's something for us to exchange. There's something that needs to come through our meeting. But our meeting can be eye-gazing. Our meeting can be holding hands. Our meeting can be sex. Our meeting can be that we need to write a song together. Maybe this is the child that will be born from our connection. But we're usually not curious enough and not creative enough also. So we fall into default of we have attraction, probably we need to run sexual attraction. Which is beautiful, but sometimes it's not on the spot. It's not like a tuned instrument. But if we tune ourselves, we listen deeper, and then we feel what Eros actually wants to do with us now. What Eros wants to do through us now, because Eros uses us, to say it in a very not nice way. Eros uses us to move evolution forward. Eros uses us to move evolution forward. Or you can say it in an even bigger perspective, the divine wisdom of the cosmos is using Eros as a tool to use us to move evolution forward. Now the problem is that, of course, then we come with our rules and laws and all our ideas and mental ideas of what's right, what's wrong, and our commitments and our this and our that, and it's like, and we don't, it's hard for us to actually allow Eros to move through us. And of course, I'm not saying that, all rules and directions and ethics are wrong, but because some of the rules and ethics that we work with Eros would actually create banks for the river of Eros, and then the flow of Eros will be actually stronger. We need to learn when is it just banks for the river, and when are we blocking our flow? And you can see, it's easy to see with ourselves and with other people, you can see people that the flow is blocked. They're not alive. Because Eros is life force. And we know when people fall in love, or just had an amazing love making, you see they're shining. Right? All of a sudden, people are shining. Why? Because Eros is life force. And you just allowed life force to move through your cells, through your being, through your soul. And when people are blocking Eros, like blocking, not directing it, but blocking it, they're blocking life force. And in some ways, if we look at it from a bigger perspective, they're blocking evolution. If I'm blocking, if Eros wants to use me to move evolution forward, and I'm blocking my Eros, I don't let actually Eros play with me, I become like a, like an old yellow leaf, like there's no life force in this branch, and I'm also blocking evolution from moving through me. And of course, evolution will find, it's like river, like water, it will find its way. If I'm blocking it, okay, it will find its way through someone else. If I'm not writing this book, someone else will write it. Ideas that needs to come to a song that needs to come to the world will find someone to compose it. You just need to make yourself a vessel. You need to say yes to life force to come through you. And that's the wisdom of connecting ourselves to the divine through Eros. Is allowing Eros to move through us in a way that it brings to the world new creations. Now, not every... many times people think that creativity is just like taking things that already have been in the world and just mixing them in a new way. But no, there is something in creativity that is actually more. In creativity, you take things that have been, like you take let's say in sexuality, you take the DNA of the father and then the mother, and you mix them together. But there is also the soul of this human being that's coming in. And this is the creation that's coming in. It's not only DNA. There is a level that Eros, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Eros is the only thing that can come from this world, reach to the world of souls, pick a soul, and bring it all the way to matter. Try to do this with anything else but sex. It's like, it's amazing. Our sexuality is amazing. It's magic. Think about it. We take it for granted. It's like, yeah, it makes babies. What does it mean to make babies? It means to make a human being, the genius of the next generation, the one that will bring love, laughter to the world in a way, or creativity, or music, or poetry. You picked a soul from the soul dimension and brought it all the way down to matter. And now it's in flesh and blood and bones. Nothing else can do that except of sexuality, except of Eros. And the reason is that Eros, in its beautiful way, in its the magic of Eros, has this thing that we call in Kabbalah, we call it the empty space between the two cherubs, the two keruvim. So I'm going to take you a little bit into Kabbalistic perspective, a little story from our tradition. So, and that's actually, by the way, what I'm going to tell you now is like what took me from being a Kabbalistic rabbi scholar, sitting with books, to actually say like, what? This is our tradition? Why didn't I know about it? And that brought me all the way out from religion into the religion of love. So our tradition says that in the most sacred place, in the Holy of the Holies, in the Temple of Jerusalem, in the ancient days, if you would go to the place that is usually covered and closed up, and no one goes into it because it's so sacred and so holy, it's the center of the universe in this tradition. This is the most sacred place in the universe. This is where the divine force is like plugged into the world and shines out. What you would find in this place are two statues made of gold, one of masculine and the other is a feminine, angels kind of thing, divine beings, in lovemaking. In the center of the center, in the holy of the holies of the temple in Jerusalem, Solomon temple that King Solomon built in Jerusalem. That's our tradition. Lovemaking was at the center, at the most sacred place. So that's one. It's like, what? Like, why didn't no one told me about it? Like, you go to, it's like the center of our tradition, of our religion, the center of the sacred is lovemaking. Why don't we give more respect to lovemaking? Why don't you teach me how to make love? That was like, for me, it was like it shook my world when I realized that. But that's not the end of it. So it says that when in the Torah, in the book of Exodus, when Moses was going to have an interview with God, like wanted to listen to God's voice, to get prophecy, he would go in and he would hear the divine voice. God would talk to him from the space between the masculine and the feminine. So they are in lovemaking, but there is a space. Now in Kabbalah they say this is an empty space. Empty from anything. This is a void. This is a place of void. This is a place of nothingness. No thingness. It's a place beyond place. It's a place beyond time and space. It's the empty space that everything can come from it. And this is why the divine voice is coming from there. Moses not hearing God speaking from the masculine or from the feminine, because God is not masculine or feminine. God is the lovemaking. God is the connection between the masculine and the feminine, but in the way that there is this empty space in between. And from the empty space, the new creation will come. The new words, the prophecy, the new wisdom, the thing that has never been spoken before would come. Now this is a big learning, I think, also for lovemaking. Do we leave between us a place for the void. Of course, it's not a physical place. It's like it's a place between us that it's not me, it's not you, it's not nothing. It's the empty space, it's a void space that if we tune to that, we can make love and listen at the same time. We can be the cherubs, the two angels, and Moses that is coming in, and the one who's coming to listen. But in true Eros, there is like always a place that is empty. The void is there. So Eros, in its fullness, in its sacredness, A, it's in the sacred of the sacred, the holy of holies, and B, it holds the void that is beyond creation. And creation comes from that. That's why it can bring new souls to the world. Or new creation, new songs, new music, new ideas. It is said also in our tradition that when this temple was destroyed, because Jerusalem was conquered by the Babylonians, and they came in, they knocked off, the curtain, rushed in, and then they saw, to their big surprise, what this nation holds in the center. Lovemaking. And it's like, really? Like, you guys that are, you're so sacred, blah, blah, and sex? So they took the two statues, the two cherubs, and they took them to the marketplace and showed everybody. And it's like, look what these people have in their sacred place. We thought they're sacred people, they're holy people, but look, it's all about sex. It's all about sex. This is what happens many times to the sacredness of Eros by people who do not understand how to put Eros in the center of sacred. What does it mean to have Eros as sacred? When we take something out of its context, and its context is so delicate, so tender, so delicious, that it needs to be in the Holy of Holies, and it has this empty space in it. But when you're not tuned to that, you come with your ideas that don't even get it, and you take it, it's like, it's all about, this is all that you're doing, sex. It's like, what is sacred sexuality? Just sexuality, you just want to fuck, right? This is just not understanding. And this is what our sages are saying, whether it was history or not, but this is the story, the ethos of our nation, that's what happened when the temple was destroyed. So if we want to, kind of bring the temple back, this is part of the temple arts. Bring the temple back is take Eros and put it in the right place. The right place for Eros is in the Holy of Holies, in the center of everything. But in the center of Eros itself, we need to have this empty space that is not me, not you, not anything else, but a place for God, for the divine, a place for the mystery to arise from. You're here still, or you're? How are we? Yeah, it's late at night, I know, and I'm. Yeah. Huh? Delicious. Good. Yeah, just a little more, and then we send you to sleep to dream about angels of golden wings. And the Holy of Holies making love, and then you fall into the dark of the emptiness and the void in between. Yes, go there at night, report in the morning. Yeah. Yes. So, one more thing about Eros, which I wonder that I've never seen anyone that wrote about it, but it's so obvious that I'm like, probably someone wrote about it. So in Greek mythology, there are three deities that sound very similar to each other. There's Eros, and Ares. Huh? I was like, no one wrote about it. So, who's Ares? You know? The god of war, Mars. Mars of the Romans is Ares in the Greek mythology. So it's the god of war. Who is Eros? Eros, our favorite Eros. The deity that makes us horny and want to connect. Who is Ares? Ares is less known. Ares is a goddess of conflict. Conflict, which is not war. She is not about war. She is about creating something that will make people have different opinions and different agendas. So she would put an apple. She did, according to Greek mythology. She put an apple in a party of all the gods, and she wrote in it on the apple, "To the most beautiful of all." Good. Now Aphrodite, Athena, like everybody is like, no, I need to eat the apple. I need to eat the apple. Of course, when I told it to Yehu, he said, well, everybody eats the apple and there is an orgy. It's like, yeah. So the thing is that this is what Eros would say. But what Ares would say? Fight. Yeah, Ares would say, let's have a war about it. And indeed, this story of the apple is, if you look at Greek mythology, this is what gave birth to the great war of all wars that was actually on this land, here, Troy. That what created the big balagan that basically led to the Troy War. This apple that Eris wrote, to the most beautiful of all. Yeah. Eventually it got to Helen of Troy that was more beautiful than that's like a jealousy, and then war came. So here it is. This Eris is creating conflict. Now what do you do with the conflict? Are you going to war, or are you going to make love? This is the question that the chimpanzees and the bonobos decided in different ways. I don't know if you know, there are chimpanzees and bonobos. They are kind of the same ape, just like different sizes, different races of the same ape, but totally different cultures. Their civilization, because the Congo River is in between them, so they developed two different civilizations. And I read once an article written by someone some scholar who dedicated his life to study the bonobos. And I remember one sentence that he wrote very simple. He said, if you want to know the difference between chimpanzees and bonobos, because chimpanzees are very violent. I don't know if you know, they're very violent. There's a lot of violence and bonobos are the hippies of the animal kingdom. If you look at videos of bonobos on YouTube, you can even see like a male and a female just lying on the grass, I remember this video, like they're holding like a blade of grass in the mouth, just like hugging, and just like, kind of enjoying life. So he says like this: while chimpanzees have conflicts about sexuality and they try to solve it by violence, bonobos solve conflicts by sexuality. Chimpanzees have struggles about sexuality that leads them to have war. Bonobos use sexuality to reduce war. Make love, not war. Mm-hmm. The bonobos invited it. Yeah. So as a result, he says, the average chimpanzee, most of his day is like fighting and making sure that the chimpanzee male, most of the time is in tension and making sure that no one will take his females, and of course everybody is taking his females. He's busy there, someone is fucking them there, and it's like it's all the time trying to manage his harem. And he's making love very little because he's busy in fighting. The average bonobo is having sexual activities average every 45 minutes. If you thought you're hypersexual. So, conflict is conflict. Now, what do we do with that? Conflict is just, we have energy between us. I don't see things as you see. I'm plus, you're minus. I'm female, you're male. It's like, this is a conflict. Everything is like, we have two different ways to look at things. This is conflict. It's beautiful. It's an invitation to create something new. Instead, which is Eros. Eros would say, wonderful opportunity. Take this energy and create something new. Ares is saying, one of us needs to take down the other. War. So, about this more in depth, Katara and I will teach one of the days of the workshop of this festival later, the art of emotional Aikido, which is basically how to take tension and move it into creating more love in the world. But this is Eros. Eros is a way of what to do with energy, how to take energy and bring it into creativity. So Eris is the goddess of conflict. And then you can be a chimpanzee, go with Ares, or you can be a bonobo, go with Eros. You'll definitely have more sweeter life as a bonobo. So, let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to say in this one before we send you to bed. Yeah, last point. Since Eros is an evolutionary power, Eros is moving us forward in evolution. And Eros is not necessarily sex, right? Remember that. Eros is just the attraction of two things, or more than two. It doesn't need to be two, right? There's like threesomes and foursomes and orgies, but at least two. Eros is the power that brings things together, that draws things together. This is also love. Love is the connective tissue of the universe. In Kabbalah, it's called Olam Chesed Yibaneh in Hebrew. The world is constructed by love, basically. So love is the connective tissue. Everything, even atoms and subatomic particles, are attracted to each other. That's why they are actually together and we're not scattered around. I will not go into the physics of it. But one thing I want to say about the physics of it is that the sun is a constant orgasm. I don't know if you noticed.
It is now.
What's happening? What's the fuel of the sun? All the stars, but the sun is our star. It's a superstar.
Hydrogen.
Huh?
Hydrogen.
What's happening there?
Fusion.
Fusion. Yeah. The fuel of stars and of our sun is fusion of two atoms. Atoms coming together. What is an atomic bomb?
Splitting.
The splitting of the atom. Yeah. Could it be more symbolic than that? The atomic bomb that created all the destruction and also creates a lot of radiation that is, destructive, is coming from splitting. Not Eros. This is Eros. What's happening in the sun constantly is two atoms coming together into fusion. What is fusion of, if not, lovemaking? And in this fusion of atoms, enormous amount of energy is being released. Thank you. It's being released. This is what's happening in the sun. Constantly. And not only in the sun, in all the stars, in all the galaxies as far as we know it. The fuel of this universe is fusion. Is lovemaking on the atomic level. Now, from this, we live. The sun having a constant orgasm, like one after the other, and if you look at the sun, it's always also ejaculating, kind of like. So, from this, energy comes to Earth. We have light, plants receive the light, make matter from that. We live from that. We live from the energy that is produced by atomic fusion. Everything that we are is basically made of that. All the energy that we have is made of atomic fusion, which is the love of the universe. Eros is this power that is turning on the sun. Eros is the power that holds stars together, galaxies together. Eros is, in some ways, also one of my shamanic friends told me, what is gravity if not Mother Earth loving you so deeply that she doesn't let you go? She's holding.
So attractive.
Yeah, she's attractive, right? She's attractive. She's attracting us. Like gravity is like the power that emanates from mass, basically, to attract other mass. And if it's a big mass, it has huge gravity. But it's love. It's bringing us closer. It's like, so if you feel now into your gravity, you just feel into your wave. Like, yeah, it's Earth loving us, holding us together. It gives us a lot of stability. Imagine how it works. I mean, it can be sweet for a moment not to have gravity, but then it's like everything flies, and we don't have air. So we live in a world that Eros, or the power that brings things together from subatomic particles to atoms coming together, creating molecules, everything is affected by this power that wants to bring things together, but also through us, it moves us to closer and closer to our higher potential. What is evolution if not taking humanity or taking any species, but in the evolution of humanity is taking humanity higher to our purpose, to our destiny, and to our higher potential. What drives that? Eros. So the next time you relate to your own arousal, the next time you're turned on, sexually and even not sexually, even when you're turned on in more subtle ways, sometimes we're turned on by a place. You come to a place and it's like, there's like this, like, I belong here. This is Eros. There's a part of me that belongs to this place. This is Eros. Or sometimes we're attracted to other people, and it's not a sexual thing, but just like, oh, there's something in you that is like so attractive for me. Don't fall necessarily into it needs to be sexual. It's just like, let's be curious. What wants to come through that? So, but when you turn into your arousal, into your turn on, this is an invitation to feel that the divine power is now using you. You're turned on like a light bulb that is turned on. You're an instrument. Life is turning you on now, and the divine power is trying to use you to bring something new to the world. Trying to use you to bring more evolution to this planet. Are you willing to say yes? Are you willing to move with that with respect? With a respect that Eros in the center of the holies deserve. It's not the Eros that is taken out of context and made fun of. It's the Eros that is put in the center in the Holy of the Holies, the Eros that has the curiosity of the not knowing, of the empty space. And if we come to this with humbleness, with humility, and audacity, which is in Hebrew anava, the word anava is humility and audacity together. We come to Eros with this humility and audacity. We allow it to pierce through us like as if we are a bid. And we allow this power, this cosmic power, to pierce through us and move through us into the next thing that wants to be delivered through us, that wants to be created. To me, this is so sexy, so mysterious, and so sacred at the same time. Like, what else can be the most, sacred usage of me, except of allowing the divine force of evolution to move through me and guide me, like, where am I attracted to? This is how you will find the person that you make children with. But, as I said before, not only physical children. Let it guide you. Let it guide you, because it guides you towards the evolution of humanity. It guides us towards something that is not yet here, but will come through the combinations, the million combinations that only Eros can create. So with this, I will send you to bed. Actually, I'll open for if there is any question or anything that want to be said, and then we'll release ourselves. Yes?
You say let it guide you. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you mean by taking the lead?
Let it guide you. Ride the camel of love. Okay. Yeah? Like the camel of love is Yehu's song. Anywhere the camel of love will carry me, this is my path and this is my faith. If we do not try to control our Eros, not try to suffocate our Eros, but we ride our Eros. And it doesn't mean just let it be, a loose cannon. That's not that. But just like, if you're curious, like, where is life force? If you're curious for life force, where is it taking me? Where is it taking me? And it might take you to things that would make no sense to the mind. But the thing of love and Eros is that it doesn't make sense. It's more than sense. It's divine. It doesn't make sense because our sense is too limited. And I see it many times, that two things. A, that all the rules that the funny thing is that people for thousands and, tens of thousands of people are trying to put frames and rules to limit love and sexuality and Eros. Every state has its own rules, who you should have sex with and who you shouldn't, right? And every state thinks it's like very needed and moral. Like, you come from Iran and it's like, they have a lot to say about...
only one person can use and have Eros with some one person.
Yeah, and I hear that even here in Turkey, people cannot go to Turkish people, local people. No, not here, in Egypt. I spoke. Egyptian people cannot go to a hotel and register together in a room, men and women, unless they are married.
Yeah.
This
Same
is
in
also
Iran.
happening in Turkey.
In Turkey too? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, what the fuck? I was like, how come that the state takes some power to try to limit the flow of Eros, and the mind of the people think it's it's important, it's moral. In a different country, they think it's not needed. Humans always are threatened by that's the thing, that humans, we are just threatened by the power of love, of Eros. If we're honest about it, we're just threatened. Because Eros, if we know that if we allow Eros to flow, it will destroy a lot of what we think we want to hold sacred. Because it's like fire. So the question is like, how do you actually work with fire? Yes, fire is dangerous. Do we not have fire because of that? No, we learn how to work with fire. We don't want to have a wildfire that will burn everything, but we want fire in our fireplace. We want to have fire in containers, but we don't want to suffocate the fire. So it's a dance between the mind that is so afraid of letting Eros show the way, and between how to contain Eros in a way so it will be a fireplace and not a wildfire. Yeah? Yep.
Me?
Yep.
Okay. So I want to connect what you said also to the bonobos.
Mm-hmm.
And that, as you said, that I didn't know that every 45 minutes approximately they're having some kind of juicy interaction.
Mm-hmm.
It's because also in their community there is very little like taboos. Like they go with all sexes and all ages.
Yeah.
So this is another example of how the mind restricts us for the juice of life.
Yeah, the most common sexual interaction in the bonobos community is female to female.
Yes, like the elders with the...
No, any female to female, not only, but female to female rubbing clits together.
Yeah.
They have huge clits, and they're rubbing clits together. That's like quickly. It's like, that's a... And yeah, if there is someone is upset, someone will come to them and rub their clit, rub their penis. Just like it's like, why are you upset? It's like, it's they found a way, Yeah, yeah. But what I actually want is us just to. For me, if we just start to respect Eros as a divine power, and stop thinking that, oh, this is my little sexuality, it's kind of that I hide. Instead of that, it's not mine, and it's not little. It's the divine power that is moving evolution forward, that, thank God, finds me worthy of using me. Like, yeah, move through me, turn me on, allow me to bring something new to the world by connecting with this individual, what wants to be born from our lovemaking. And lovemaking is not only sex, that it can be. Also, sex is not only bringing babies. Sex brings amazing ideas and songs and creativity and livelihood and
Conflict.
it can bring conflict. Exactly, it can bring conflict that can be resolved through
By
more
rubbing
Eros.
it.
Rubbing the clit.
Yeah. All right.
It's the circle.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
May this festival of love and Eros be as sacred as possible and as fun as possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just